Welcome to Horror Franchise Wednesday and the end of my Resident Evil franchise review series. We're going to finish it with the final chapter. Another franchise that has a final chapter, but is not the last one at all. This week, another one just came out. Welcome to Raccoon City, which by the time this is uploaded, hopefully my review for that movie will be up by now. So check out that review if you haven't already. And then sometime today or tomorrow, hopefully I'll get a ranking video up. So now, Resident Evil, the final chapter. This one came out in 2016, and this one was once again written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, starring Milla Jovovich. And this one was a disappointment. Yeah, I'm just going to cut right to it. And I was disappointed. I really liked the fifth one. And I said at the end of that review that I was really looking forward to this one because of what was being set up at the end of part 5. And this one was a huge letdown. It's funny that, the fifth one is my favorite. And it seems to be people's least favorites, at least when I look at IMDb. It seems to be the lowest rated one. And this one seems to be the highest Rotten Tomatoes wise. I could be wrong, but I quickly looked at all of them, and it seemed like this one was the highest rated Rotten Tomatoes, but not the highest IMDb, but still, like, this one's got a higher score than Retribution. If that's the fifth, I think that's the fifth one. I can't keep all the names together. I'm not a huge fan of this franchise. This is the first time I'm watching all these movies, so I can't remember which one's which. Part 5, I think that's Retribution. That's the most fun one. That's my favorite one so far, and I don't see how this one has a higher score. It was such a drop-off to me. But fuck, let's get into it. So, plot synopsis. The plot is basically the same plot as all the other ones. You got Alice, who is after Umbrella. She's going to where it all began. She's going back to the Hive in Raccoon City with her, former friends in part 2 and 3, or, just one of her friends, not all of them, but, Larter, she comes back and she joins her and some other new people, some new faces, and they're going to go fight Umbrella in Raccoon City and put an end to the T-virus. So that's the plot, basically, right there. So getting into my positives, I like that they brought back Larter, because I'm just a fan of her, because I'm a huge fan of the Final Destination franchise, so I like that they brought her back. She was missing in part 5, and they didn't even really bring her up or explain if she was alive or dead. She's back, so she was alive. Spencer, not sure what happened to her. I guess she's dead. That's a bummer. And I guess they just couldn't get the actress back. Maybe that's what it was. They brought back the zombie dogs, except this time they're bigger and there's more of them. So I just love the look at the zombie dogs. They're very mean looking and awesome. And I love that they're bringing it back where it all began. I like how it just comes full circle. This is the final chapter, final. And I mean, this is the final chapter of, like, this storyline with this Alice and everything. I don't think Welcome to Raccoon City has anything to do with, this. I think it's supposed to be more, it's closer to the source material. It's more close to the video games, I heard, right? This is a departure. This is why the video game fans, they don't like this series, because it strays too far away from the video games, I heard. So, but I've never played them, so I don't know. But yeah, I like that they're going back where it all started. So they're going back to that laser hallway in the Hive, and you got the Red Queen down there. They're doing callbacks and stuff and repeating lines from the first one. You're all going to die down here. So I like that. I mean, part 5 kind of did that with the simulations and stuff, and they brought back some actors from part 1, so they were doing little member berries in that one, and this one does it too, so I like that they brought it back. And this one, just like all of them, is fast-paced, so it's not a slow movie or anything, but being fast-paced doesn't necessarily mean you're a good movie. Sometimes being fast-paced is a bad thing, because you don't have time to build up characters and flesh them out and make me, as the audience, give a shit about them. And so let's just jump right into my negatives. I hate that this movie just completely skipped over the whole DC battle. That was being set up at the end of part 5. I was looking forward to that, and they just start the movie right after it's all said and done. When the dust is settled and she's just coming out of the rubble, it's like, oh, fuck that. That was a huge letdown. And holy crap. This one, out of all the movies, I thought 2 was kind of bad at times when it came to this, but this movie, the editing, holy shit. It is it's like 5 cuts per second. Whoever edited this movie was on like cocaine or some shit. Just like, let's just keep cutting. Like, they're out of their fucking mind. This is a franchise that seems to be all about the action and showing you cool, stylized actions, set pieces and visuals and stuff like that. And this one just fails in that department because of the editing. So whenever there's like a cool like gunfight or a fist fight, I can't really focus on what's happening because it's cut, 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 cut. And another thing I don't like about this movie, just like a lot of them, is just the characters I don't care about. And Milla, her character in this movie, Alice, she just is back to being one note, just like, I'm a badass. I mean, at least in part 5, they threw in that kid character to kind of make her seem like a mother, a motherly character and kind of show a different side of her instead of just being a badass the whole time. I like that they threw in that kid in part 5, but in this one, she's back to being, oh, I'm so badass and confident, and it's just boring. Like, she's not a fun lead, she's not like an Ash in Evil Dead. I don't really enjoy her presence on screen in this movie, especially. I just wish she was more fun in this franchise, really. She needed just some quirkiness to her or something, but she's just like, oh, I'm so badass. And by the 6th movie, I'm just kind of sick of it. And speaking of characters, there's characters missing that aren't addressed, which seems to be a common theme in this franchise, where you get to the next movie and it's like, well, what about that person and that person? They don't matter no more. Okay, like the little girl that I was just talking about in part 5, where is she? Did she die? I thought she was Alice's kid. Is that addressed in this movie? Did I miss it? Like, what happened to her? Like, what happened to Ali Larter's brother? Like, that was like some stupid little twist in part 3 or 4. They all blend together, so I can't remember which one it was. I think it was 4, Afterlife, right? So she has like this brother. It's like a little revelation, like, oh my gosh, it's your brother. And then it's like, who cares? Like, where did that go? What was that for? And where did he go? Is he dead? I guess he died on that ship at the end of part 4. Like, where are all these characters? Why aren't they addressed? Like, what happened to Valentine? I thought at the end of part 5, she got, cured of, she got the thing taken off of her chest and she became a good guy again. And then in this movie, it's like, where is she? What happened to her? Did I miss something in part 5? I thought she lived to the very end and now she's just gone. And all the performances in this movie, the acting, it all just feels very phoned in. Like, they didn't give a shit. It's just basic acting, not a whole lot of real effort that I see. And it's just like, read your lines, let's get through it and get to the next action set piece that will be ruined by choppy editing. So final thoughts, this one was just a big letdown. I was really looking forward to it because of part 5, which has a shit ton of action, and this one really doesn't have much. Like, I was expecting a bigger, like, this is the finale. This is when the action should be ramped up to 11. Like, let's go bigger and badder. Let's, end this franchise with a bang, but instead it just kind of goes out with a whimper and just gives you new characters you don't care about. It edits the shit out of every action set piece that really isn't all that creative or imaginative compared to some of the other movies. Like, this one doesn't really have that much action in it. It has some cool visuals here and there. It's shot well, just like some of the other ones. I mean, it's the same director, so it's got his style, definitely. Some of that slow-mo stuff, Matrix-like shit with the bullets flying by their faces and stuff like that. It's got the same style and look as some of the other ones, but it is edited, that's a hard word for me. It's edited by someone completely different, and they should not have hired that person. That's really the biggest downfall of this movie. That's with the characters, like I said. Just give me better characters, and this would be a much better franchise for it. So when it comes to Resident Evil, the final chapter, this one is the first one in this franchise that I can honestly just say is wasted time. You do not need to watch it. Spoilers! Not much to spoil, but fuck it. Let's talk about it some more real quick. So more narration. The whole series, kind of like the Friday the 13th series, it opens up with Alice like narrating. It's like a previously on, but she says like the same fucking thing in every movie. But in this one, they actually do tell you more. They start to go back to where it all began, where, who created the virus and why. There's this guy trying to make a drug to save his kid that has like this rapid aging thing. Like, she's Eric Stoltz in The Fly too. Like, she's aging very quickly. So then we cut to present day. It's 10 years after part 1, and DC is in ruins. So We never got to see that battle at the end of part 5. That's a fucking shame. And then we get our first attack with the zombie coming out of like the reflecting pool in DC. And this is when we get our first instance of what the editing is going to be like when it comes to action stuff like this. Chop, 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 chop. Like just 5 cuts per second. It's ridiculous. And so the flying creature from the end of part 5 is in this one a couple of times. So they carry that over at least somewhat. So, and we get like this long chase with the dragon chasing her down the street in like the Jeep. And she just crashes into it and blows it up with a claymore, but that claymore, wouldn't it have blown up a lot sooner? Like she detonates it, or like, gets it set up, and it says, face towards enemy, and then it'll blow up. I'm not expert on claymores, but I've played Call of Duty. Those things go off instantly, and when she puts it right in front of the dragon thing, whatever, it would have blown up right away and taken her out with it. Just saying. So now she doesn't actually have powers. At the end of part 5, he injected her and was telling her, like, I'm giving you your powers back because I need you for a mission in the next movie. Well, scrap that. They're not doing that in this movie. So that guy, Mr. Shades, I call him, he's not in DC no more. He's back at the Hive, and he never gave her powers back. So I guess she had that big-ass battle that we never saw in DC without her powers, and she did okay. So she's the only one alive. So I guess Valentine's dead. Is that what I'm to assume? She died in that battle and we just never fucking saw it. At least address it. All right. So then, you get the ambush. She's upside down. She's just shooting at everybody. And for some reason, the guys just can't fucking shoot her right away. I mean, there's like 6 guns on her. As soon as she shoots one, the other ones would have opened fire and she'd be dead. Realistically. So the bad guy from part 3 is alive. He's the main villain in this movie. It's either 3 or 2, whatever. Like I said, they all kind of blend in. So he was a clone. And whatever happened to that whole plot going on with the whole subplot of like them making their hundreds of Alices. They kind of carried that into the beginning of part 4, but then they ditched it. Like they ditch everything in this franchise. They have neat ideas and they just do it for a little bit and they throw it away. Like, we don't want to do that no more. Like, what happened to that? Did they give up on that? Are they still doing those test runs like they did in part 3 or 4? Was it 3? I don't know. Like I said, I can't remember which one. So what happened to that whole thing? Are they still making thousands of Alices? Because they're making a bunch of, Iain Glens in this movie. So, so there's 100 million zombies chasing these tanks, and I just had a question, like, do zombies get tired? I mean, it seems like they never starve to death. Realistically, wouldn't the zombie apocalypse, I mean, that's a whole different discussion. Fuck it, I'm not even going to get into it. But I was just thinking, like, how long could these zombies chase after the tanks before they got exhausted? They're still humans somewhat, right? Wouldn't they just get tired after a while and stop chasing the damn tanks? I mean, they chase them for like multiple states, it seems. Like they're just chasing them for miles and miles and they never stop running. Bullshit. So then she cuts that dude's hand off so easily with that knife. Like, she doesn't have her powers back. She just has gun skills and fighting skills. That's all she has. She doesn't have the powers back. But somehow, she takes this little knife, cuts his hand right off. Like, bullshit. Come on. It would not slice through it like butter. But that's just a nitpick. I'm just having fun nitpicking this stupid movie. I'm being more nitpicky because I don't like it, I guess. And this guy, really, you chose a nail gun as your choice of weapon to fight off a horde of zombies. How many nails do those things have? Not a whole lot, I imagine. And would that even kill zombies? Like, how far in are those nails going? They would have to go in pretty far to hit the brain to kill them. That's just a bad weapon to choose. The best visual in the movie is when they have the fire waterfalls. They kick over the gasoline down the big old skyscraper and they light it. So I like that visual. That was pretty cool. And so Umbrella deliberately ended the world to save the world. It's kind of like the Godzilla movie that just came out a couple of years ago. We're going to end the world because global warming, blah, blah, blah. This movie kind of tries to have a message. And beneath all the shitty editing. And I just don't care for it. It's like, oh, we're gonna end the world to save the world because that makes sense. Like, no, it doesn't really. Like, so everybody deserves to die, and you get to choose who lives. You get to play God, basically. Like, if you work for our company, you get to live. If you don't work for our company, you're gonna die. Ruby Rose, she gets juiced. She gets sliced into a billion pieces. She gets the Child's Play 3 death, and so even Umbrella's fucking air vents, they have traps in them. Really? Come on. Like, they were thinking that far ahead, just in case some group of soldiers tries to attack our facility, we gotta build some traps inside the big ass air vents that will suck them out and then put them in these trap rooms and shit. Like, really? That's ridiculous. And so as soon as they announced, like, Alice or whatever, the Red Queen, she was like, somebody in your group is a traitor, a mole for the Umbrella Corporation. I knew right away it's Claire's new boyfriend. They show you the other characters first, and then they go to the boyfriend. I'm like, it's the boyfriend. So I guess that I predicted that right away. So not that that really hurt the film or anything. I guess I'm just bragging. I guessed it. Haha. But Alice is a clone of the old lady who works for the Umbrella Corporation. But she's not really old. She's just aging very quickly. So Alice is a clone of the woman who was, the little kid who's the reason for the virus being created. Like, so she's the little girl who was sick, and she's the reason why the dad made the drug, the virus, whatever. So it's all her fault, but not really. I don't know. So, but yeah, and then fucking Mr. Shades, he finally dies. Finally. And then the Red Queen also is Alice as well. Is that what I'm to get from this? So the whole hologram chick, that's Alice as a little kid. So that's like a little twist. For some reason, she has a different voice. She has a British accent. We get a whole scene in the laser hallway from part 1, and she blows a hole in the guy's stomach, but that doesn't kill him. But getting stabbed numerous times by his own clone, that killed him. And why does she hesitate for so long? That was just such a movie moment where all she had to do was drop the container and then it would be over. But she has this movie moment where she's gonna hesitate and think about it, because she thinks that if she drops it, she's gonna die too. But it's either you die and you save the world, or you're just gonna let the world end. Don't be selfish. You shouldn't have to think about it for more than a second. Just drop it. All right. She has a 10-second hesitation there. It's I was yelling at the TV, just drop it. And then of course, because she hesitated for so long, we get that another fight with her and Iain Glen. But then she finally does drop it, and then it kills all the zombies right away within a 10-mile radius. Everything's just, all the zombies are dropping dead, but it's not killing all the zombies in the world just yet. It's going to take a while for this antivirus drug in the air to reach the whole globe. But in the meantime, she's going to go drive city to city, state to state, country to country, fighting off all the zombies that are still alive before the antivirus can get to them. Why? I didn't get that at all. Can you explain that to me? Why is that necessary? She's my mission's not over because the virus hasn't, the antivirus hasn't reached Manhattan yet, so I'm going to drive to Manhattan and kill all the zombies there myself instead of just letting the fucking drug get there on its own, because it will eventually. The virus did that pretty quickly. The antivirus should do it in the same amount of time. So just give it time. You don't have to keep, I guess she's just addicted to the chase, to the fucking hunt. She's just an adrenaline junkie at this point, I guess. And so yeah, and then she gets all the memories of this childhood she never had, blah, 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 the end. So there you go. That is the end of the final chapter. So what are your thoughts of this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And where does it sit in your ranking? Have you seen the new movie yet? What did you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's just an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.